I'm Peyton and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my everyday makeup routine. This is my look that I do when I'm going to work or I'm just getting ready to run some errands quick. It's the easiest makeup routine. It takes me under 10 minutes to do it in the morning, and so I just wanted to share all my favorite products. So if you want to see how I get this look, just keep watching. So my first step in my everyday makeup routine, I start with foundation. My go-to everyday foundation is the IT Cosmetics CC Cream. This has been my go-to for years. I use it every single day. Even when I'm doing a more full face look, I still always use this. This is always my go-to. I use this shade Fair and Light. I mix these together. Fair's a little too light for me, where Light's a little too dark for me. I kind of just mix the two and hope it works. So I put little squirt on my hand, and then I do just a little bit of the light. I'll just mix it together on my hand with my finger, and then I'll try to get most of it off, but I'll wipe the rest on my face. And to blend it all in, I usually just use my Juno sponge. I believe that's the brand. I threw away all the packaging, so I don't remember. But this is my favorite sponge. I use this more than my beauty blender, more than my Morphe sponge. This is the best sponge I've ever found. It's a microfiber sponge, so I feel like it gives you more of an airbrush look than just the normal sponges give you, which that's what I love about it. I just love the airbrush look it gives. And I love this IT Cosmetics CC Cream because it has SPF in it. It has a good coverage. Even when my skin was a lot worse than it is, this always gave me enough coverage, but it's not too much to where you look like you're just caking foundation on. Another thing about this sponge is it's literally $6. That's why I love it so much. It's so cheap, and it gives me the best finish compared to even my more expensive sponges. So after I do my foundation, I always do concealer. My go-to lately has been the KKW Beauty Concealer. I use shade 4. And this has been one of my favorites for a while. I think it just has such a good finish and the coverage is great. And to blend my concealer in, I either just use the tip of my sponge or I use my E57 brush from Morphe. This one's great to just kind of pat in, and then I always just take the extra. I always put foundation on my eyelids, but I always love to just put the last little bit of concealer on my eyelid just to make sure I have enough on there for my eyeshadow. I always go through and just pat out underneath my eyes just to make sure there's no creases or anything. I'll go in and set my under eye. I just use my Kat Von D palette just because that's what I have right now. I'm just trying to finish it up before I buy a new one. But I just take this brush from Morphe and just pat powder under my eyes and then over my eyelids to prime my eyes. And I just take the two lightest shades and mix them together. So after I do my foundation, concealer, powder under my eye, I always do powder next just to make sure everything's set and nothing creases. My favorite powder has been the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Pressed Powder. I've gone through a few of these and it's still my just favorite translucent powder. And I just use a big fluffy brush and I just kind of go like that because mine's broken, so I have to be kind of careful. And then I just kind of pat it. I like doing my powder in patting motions just so I don't pull any of the product, and it really just sets it all into place. So after powder, I do my brows. I always start with the Glossier Boy Brow. I use shade Brown, I believe. Honestly, I like this product when it's almost gone. Like, my bottle is basically dry. So I use the Boy Brow just to brush my eyebrows up and kind of just put the hairs where I want them to stay, because my brows tend to not stay up, so I like to just do this as the first step so I can kind of have a guide of where to pencil in. I used to pencil in my brows and then use a brow gel, but I found that using this first makes doing my brows so much easier. After that, I go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. I think everyone uses this. It's just such an easy pencil and it's so soft and you don't get harsh lines with it, so that's why I really love it. And I use shade Medium Brown. And So I honestly, I don't spend too much time on my brows. I know people will spend forever and ever on them, but I just usually fill in these front parts and run the pencil through the rest. So I just start right here, kind of fill in right in the front. The front's usually always really sparse with my brows. Then I just kind of run it through. Then I'll go to the other side and do kind of the same thing. So after I do the pencil, I'll go through with just the little wand on the end, just to make sure there's no harsh lines. Then my last step for my brows, I always go in with a clear brow gel. I just think it helps my brows stay in place all day. So I just take it and go like this. Lately I've been using the Anastasia one, the clear brow gel, just because I think it works great. It's one of the best ones I've tried, but honestly any clear brow gel works. So if I'm running late or in a big hurry, I don't usually do a whole eyeshadow look. I'll just take one of my contour shades and blend that into my crease just to have some definition. And then I'll take a lighter color and put it in the inner corner just to give my eyes some dimension. But when I do want to put a little bit of eyeshadow on, but I want it to be quick and easy, I always use my Jaclyn palette. As you can tell, this has been well loved and used. It is literally my favorite eyeshadow palette. I think every time I do my eyeshadow, no matter what look I'm doing, I always use this. It just has so many great colors in it. I always start out with this shade. It's just the middle shade on the top row, and I'll take it and just start blending that into my crease. I'll use windshield wiper motions, and then I'll take it out on the crease. I'll do just small little motions and kind of just blend it and blend it. This color I'll go in with a few times just to deepen up. I love building up just the color I start with because you really can get a good color just from using this. Sorry, I gotta switch to a mirror. I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm going back in with the second layer of that same brown shade and just building it up. So I'm gonna go in one more time with that same brown shade just to build it up. And I honestly kind of blend this up pretty high, right into my brow bone. I'll blend it, and then I kind of bring it down into my lid as well. So with the first shade, you can be a little messy with it and kind of bring it all over just to kind of get a base color down. But as we go in with the darker shades, we'll be a little more precise and keep it in certain areas. Oh, and I am using my Morphe E57. This is my favorite eyeshadow brush. I honestly just use the same brush for my entire eye look, and I think it works really well. So next I'll go in with the third shade in. It's just a little bit darker than that one. So I'll take that and start it in like the outer V of my eye. And just start to deepen up the brown. And I'll bring it in probably about halfway into my eye. I usually stop about right here, or before we were taking it all the way in. I just like to leave it about halfway just so we get kind of that darker color. Well, I think every skin tone is different. So when you're doing your neutral eyeshadows, you kind of have to go through different colors and see what works best with you and what colors you like to blend together. But I think this Jaclyn palette is a great one to start with. It has so many different shades of brown. It has some more red tone ones. It's got some great options. I'm kind of just doing what I did with the first color. I'm just going back in a few more times with the color and just blending it in. I'm gonna go just back in one more time with that same shade. So since this is my first video that I'm uploading, I thought it would be fun to tell you just a little bit more about me while I'm just sitting and doing my makeup. So I kind of wanted to do this as my first video just because it was so just chill and laid back that, I don't know. So I'm gonna go in with one more brown shade just to deepen it up. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of this one. It's the one on the far right, the second up. Just gonna take a little bit of that, and this one I'm gonna really keep just in the outer part just to deepen it up. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm 23 years old. I currently live in Los Angeles. I'm from Utah. I've grown up there my entire life. I just moved out here in May of last year. when I got married. Me and my husband will have been married a year this spring. We've been together since we were 16, so that will be 7 years. This spring we got married on our 6-year anniversary. So my husband has lived out here for a few years. I just moved out when we got married, but he moved out here right after high school. He's a music producer, so he came out here to do that. And then I just kind of followed him when we got married. So that's the kind of a little bit of background on me. So I just kind of stuck that darker brown in the corner, and then I take the M213 from Morphe. It is literally the tiniest brush. I always lose this. I'm just gonna go in with the first and second shade. I kind of mix it together that we used and just put it in my lower lash line. When I'm blending it, I just take it about to right there. I don't like to go too far in, but it's nice to just kind of have a little bit of color under your eye just so it all blends together. The top's not, it just makes it look a little better to have some dark underneath. And especially a light brown, I think it's really flattering. Okay, so now that we're done with all the matte colors, I'm gonna take the M421 from Morphe. This is their mini concealer brush. I love to use this just as my shadow brush. So I'm gonna take, this is usually my go-to for my, my shimmer shade. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that and just start in the inner corner and blend my way out. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's nothing new, nothing crazy. And I'll just try to keep like a defined line, and then once I get here, I'll just kind of blend it to make sure it blends in with that. Make sure it blends in with the brown shade. Sorry, the lighting keeps changing, the sun's moving, and now this is what we're stuck with. So I'm just gonna do the same on the other side. I know I kind of stopped talking for a sec, but I've loved playing with makeup since I was little. I remember I had to have been like 6, 7, or 8. I was really young, and I was at this like kids clothing store with my mom, and they had this little kid makeup palette. It had 2 blushes that were hearts, and it had little eyeshadows in it, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I talked my mom into buying it for some reason, and I remember going home and playing with it, and I had like orange blush, and I don't know, I've always loved playing with makeup since as long as I can remember. I've always loved like fashion designing and makeup. I was telling my husband the other day that's like all I would get for Christmas was like the fashion designing sets and the drawing books and all that. I'd get that every year for Christmas, and I loved, as I got into junior high and high school, I started getting more into makeup, and it just kept growing and growing. It started out as an obsession with fashion, and as I got older and I got into high school and I was able to start wearing makeup, I just started getting more and more into it and what was the best product and what worked the best. And for the longest time I thought I wanted to be a makeup artist, but when I was in high school I got my nail license and started working in a salon, and I realized that that wasn't the environment I love being in. So I did nails for about 4 years and quit that. And as I talk, I'm gonna do my liner. I've usually used just like a felt tip liner. I normally use the Tarte ones, but all of those have dried up. So I've just been using this Lottie, I think that's the brand. I got it at Ulta. This is one of those ones that has the wing stamp at the end. I thought it was kind of fun. It works pretty well. I'm not the best at winged liners, so that definitely will help give me the shape. But I love how thick this liner is. It honestly gives me such a good, like, thin line. I know that sounds weird, but the thicker the eyeliner is, I usually can get a better line. What I was saying is when I was doing nails, the longer I did nails, the more I realized how much I didn't like working in a salon environment. I loved doing nails, I loved doing my hair, I loved doing makeup, but I just learned that performing services on clients wasn't my favorite thing to do. It would give me a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, And so I just was like, this is not what I want to do. So I kind of gave up on the makeup artist dream. And I realized I was spending all my time watching YouTubers review products, and I was just buying all this different makeup to try different things. I was like, if I'm gonna buy all this stuff, I might as well post about it and post little reviews that will maybe help other people, because I love, the minute I get a new product, I just research it. I watch videos, I read blog posts, I go on Pinterest. It's just one of my favorite things to do, is research makeup and see what's out there and what's the best. And so that's what inspired me to start my blog. I've had a blog off and on since I was, I think, 18 or 19. It was more just for me. I didn't really ever post about it or try to grow it. It was just a place that I could share my love for makeup with other people. I'm gonna go in just with this second color over in the Jaclyn Hill palette. This is what I always use as my inner corner highlight. But yeah, so I would have a blog just kind of for fun for me. I didn't really share it with anyone. No one knew I had it. But as I moved to LA, I started, and I was 22 when I moved here, and I was like, I've got to start figuring out what I'm doing, because I know I want to do something in the beauty industry or the fashion industry. So I just started my blog and actually went for it, and it has been so fun. And I was ready for a new change, a new way to start posting about makeup and sharing it with people. So YouTube was the perfect next step for that. Here we are. We're here now. So after I did the eyeliner, I literally just do such a thin line. I don't do a wing. I just kind of do a thin black line. Next, I'm going to go in with my Perversion mascara from Urban Decay. This has been one of my favorites for years. I just recently got it again and remembered how much I loved it. Okay, so now that we're done with the eye makeup, I'm gonna finish my face makeup. When I'm just going to work and everything, I don't do contour. I just stick with blush. I just think it gives a nice little color, easy, you don't have to worry about blending it. I always use my Milani blush. I think this is one of the best blushes out there. My favorite shade is the Romantic Rose, and I take my Morphe E4 brush, and I literally just pat blush on. Finish off, I'll go in with highlighter. My everyday go-to is the Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop, and my favorite highlighting brush is the Morphe R36. I think this is their best highlighting brush. I'll just take some, go like this, put some on my nose, put my lip, and that's all. I usually throw on a lip. I'll use either Bare from Kylie Cosmetics, that's my favorite go-to lip, or I love just throwing on a gloss, or I'll just throw on some of the Laneige, I think that's how you say it. This is like my holy grail everyday product. I use this multiple times a day. I just take a little bit of it and put it on. It adds just such a nice sheen to your lips. And there you go. So there's my everyday easy makeup. When I'm not filming it, this literally will take me 10-15 minutes at the most to throw on it, and I feel like it makes me feel just a lot more put together, and it's so easy to do, and all of these products are so easy and simple to use. I think that's what's so important, is just to find the products that work for you and what are just quick and efficient to use. So all of these products I use, these are literally my favorite holy grail products. I use these every single day. I'll mix in new ones like different eyeshadow palettes, different highlighters, different blushes, but for the most part, this is just what I do every single day. I'll have all the products that I use linked below. I'll have my Instagram and everything down there. Thanks for watching.